Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Shrouding the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. The fog on the Black Mountain is getting thicker and thicker, and the fingers are almost invisible. Reading the novel, but this place is peaceful. I really have no public morality. How can you doodle here? Do the two old people really think they are heroic? The big black dog scolded. The golden light of the Fengshenbang flowed, and it was never covered with dust, which dispelled the thick fog in this place, and there was a supreme avenue of breath in the air. Who the hell is this old bald puff? He looks kind, but he doesn't feel like a good bird. And this old clapper riding a bull, wrapped in a monstrous demonic energy, at first glance he is not a kind person. Big black dog curse. Yi Fan was a little speechless. The big black dog was too good. Sakyamuni was actually scolded as a bald puppet, and another purple energy came from the east, and it was also said to be a monstrous demon. Can you say something nice? Yi Fan said. What's the origin of this bald man with a big head, and this old man who ran cattle? The big black dog ran wild dragon with his mouth full, and his words were really out of tune. Dog, don't talk nonsense. Xiaonan Nan gently patted it. The little girl was only slightly higher than its knees, pink and childish. I'm very upset when I see this bald puppet and this cow herder. Damn, it's too immoral. It's really bad to dare to carve in front of the conferred god list. The big black dog was very annoyed, and felt that the seal placed by the great Emperor Wu Bei. The front doodle is really a kind of outrageous behavior. Yi Fan thought about the identity of Sakyamuni and the old man riding a bull, and when he heard the big black dog's nonsense, he had the urge to spray rice. This dead dog's words were too immoral. Don't let me see them, or I'll beat them every time. The big black dog said nonsense. Yi Fan really lost to it, and said, don't be arrogant, let alone these two people, you can't even beat this old man's bull. Damn it, isn't it just a buffalo? Cut it, it's not enough for me to stick between my teeth. 120 big black dogs were not convinced. No matter how strong you are not a match for these two. The old madman suddenly spoke. He stared at the mark with a solemn expression, and watched it seriously. Yi Fan felt that the body seed was hot, and hurriedly took it out and held it in his hand to sense it carefully. He found that the two marks on the Black Mountain seemed to be alive. In a trance, he saw a compassionate Buddha sitting cross-legged under a Bodhi tree, with endless chanting reverberating, making people feel peaceful and wanting to take refuge in his sitting. On the other side, the purple energy came from the east, and a green ox carried the old man all the way to the west. It can be said that Sakyamuni and this old man riding a blue ox have a kind of rhyme that is supreme and lofty. Even a wisp of imprint they left is enough to make one's heart throbbing, and it is very mysterious that they cannot help but follow. Yi Fan's heart is quite uneasy, and it can even be described as boiling. How many former sages in ancient China came to the end of the starry sky? His way home may not be cut off, he should be able to find it, and he found a few more ray of hope that maybe he can return to Earth one day. Dead bald, old Bangzi. Yi Fan was pulled back to reality by the cursed sound of the big black dog. He did not find any exercises in the mark, but only proved that the two had been here. Don't tell me, these two people won't show up, whether they are still in this world or not. Li Heishui said. I'm really angry, it's disrespectful to the great Emperor Wuxia. The big black dog was angry. The old madman closed his eyes and remained silent. His spiritual sense penetrated into the conferred god ranking. It's been suppressed for hundreds of thousands of years, won't the things in the mountains still be alive? Yi Fan was surprised. This is not certain. If it is buried in the source of the gods like the ancient creatures, maybe it can really come out alive. The big black dog trembled, almost frightening himself. There must be an unimaginable existence in this big mountain, otherwise, Emperor Wushijia would not have suppressed it with the conferred god list. Could it be that the fact that the holy body was closed here in the past, and the blood stained the holy cliffs in his later years, has something to do with the existence in the belly of the mountain? Li Heishui asked in shock. Yi Fan said, perhaps this is the case. The creature that made Dacheng's sacred body hate, in his later years really doesn't know how terrifying it is. Fortunately, it was sealed by the great Emperor Wu Bei. You can fight with the holy body of Dacheng, but you have to wait until his later years to do it. Could it be that you have to endure in the middle of the mountain? Several people know that the holy cliff was cut off from the mountain of immortality by the holy body of Dacheng. As a retreat, it is really scary when you think about it. The great Emperor's Chi, the big black dog, rarely felt sad, but after seeing the conferred god list, it repeatedly showed such an expression and finally left reluctantly. The fog closed the mountain, and they walked for more than an hour. Finally, they were not very far from the top of the mountain. A majestic figure stood on the rock in front of them, looking down. Didn't we avoid him before? Why did he run to the front again? Li Heishui changed color. This person is extremely tall, with a pair of eyes without pupils, just 2 blue rays of light, which can penetrate thick fog, which is very terrifying. The old madman said not to watch it, treating it as an ancient corpse, but this terrifying corpse with no life fluctuations actually moved on its own, blocking their way. What kind of existence is this? How can it appear on the holy cliff, and dare to stop the current saint? The big black dog is furry. The old lunatic stopped and confronted the icy body above, with his long, thick hair scattered. He was full of momentum and took a few big steps forward. You are still the same as not long ago. Don't look. Don't peep out your spiritual thoughts. Wait here. The old madman warned, and then he strode forward. Things are not very good, forcing the saints to take action. Several people are very uneasy. Uncle, you have to be careful. Xiao Nan Nan shouted from behind. Yi Fan and the others obeyed the warning and did not look upwards, and their spiritual senses also converged, completely isolated from above, to avoid bad things. Boom. Above, there were terrifying fluctuations that made them almost slump to the ground, if not for the formation of Wuxia Great Emperor. I am afraid that together with the entire Da Yue, it no longer exists. The sage of the world started to fight against the unknown existence. It was very violent, and it was passed down through the formation of the ancient emperor. Horrible. In the end, the big black dog sat on the ground with one buttocks, trembling all over. He couldn't bear that kind of coercion at all. Li Heishui was even more unbearable, and fell to the ground first. His body did not obey his commands. He said angrily, "Dead dog, you are sitting on me." The big black dog, who is as strong as a big bull, almost pushed Li Heishui out of his back, making him weak and unable to push him. Yi Fan struggled to resist. His body was extremely strong, his body was full of energy, his golden blood was surging, and he finally did not fall under the pressure of the saint. Only the little girl is safe, and she didn't fight. She just squatted on the ground with big eyes and looked at the big black dog and Li Heishui. After half a quarter of an hour, the endless terrifying pressure disappeared, the thick fog churned, and the old lunatic walked back step by step, and the left half of his body was stained with blood. "Uncle, you are injured." Xiao Nan Nan cried. "What? The saints in this world are all injured and bleeding." The big black dog got up and stared at the copper bell. "It's not my blood, it's that ancient corpse." The old madman responded. The blood splattered on a saint's body was scary enough. The ancient corpse, just now, must have made the old madman have to use real means. In front, the majestic body fell to the ground. He didn't move, and he could see glowing blood flowing, which was very strange. The holy cliff is infinitely terrifying. If you take one wrong step, you will enter hell. These ancient powerhouses have passed away for endless years, and they still come out to make trouble. Li Heishui frowned worriedly. "Uncle, the few people we saw earlier appeared again." Xiao Nan Nan pointed to the depths of the thick fog, and said a very bad news. Above the cliff, several figures stood like fossils in the thick fog, motionless, looking down. "Aren't they ancient corpses? How can they move?" Li Heishui had goosebumps all over his body. Yi Fan's scalp was numb for a while. "It was the few people I saw halfway up the mountain. They were very old. There were men and women, all wearing ancient clothes." The old madman didn't say anything. He took out the corner of the big black dog, carefully studied it, and thought about it quietly. Yi Fan and the others didn't dare to disturb him. In this way, after standing for a full day and night, the old madman raised his head and continued to move forward. A golden avenue suddenly appeared at the feet of several people. It actually evolved like this: Dao goes straight to the top. The big black dog's eyes are weird. In this way, they walked on the golden avenue, and after half an hour, they reached the top of the summit, and the few people wearing ancient costumes did not approach. This is a huge cliff, very wide enough to build a small town on it. However, this place is a barren land, with no grass, the whole body is pitch black, and there are bloodstains of dark red blood. There are still some puddles in some places, bright red and dazzling. Although the spiritual energy has been dissipated for so long, but for some reason, the holy blood has never dried up. The most eye-catching is the edge of the holy cliff, where there is a huge sarcophagus, even 100 feet long, hanging on the cliff. An ancient coffin that has existed in the world for nearly 200,000 years. Everyone's heart was turbulent. If there was no accident, this is the place where the corpse of the holy body of Dacheng is buried, and Jin in the coffin is right. The whole body of the holy body of Dacheng is full of treasures. A single bone is worth a fortune, and the whole body is enough to be used as a holy object to refine the unparalleled holy soldier. They came to the huge sarcophagus hundreds of feet long, and they were all carefully observing it. This is a holy place for burial, and there may be peerless fairy treasures in it. Where is the 9 secrets traveling words? Shouldn't it be in this ancient coffin? The biggest purpose of their coming here is to find the secret of writing characters, this unparalleled holy technique that shocks the past and present, but all monks want to get it, even saints long for it. Is this sarcophagus moldy? It has grown a lot of moss. The big black dog was suspicious. It's not moss, it's long green hair. Li Heishui was cold from head to toe, and his body was icy cold. On the top of the mountain, although there was heavy fog, they walked to the ancient coffin and could see a clear scene. Damn, it's the green hair growing out of the coffin. It's very thick, and it almost drowned the ancient coffin. It's broken, and the big thing is bad. Could it be that something happened to the body of the holy body of Dacheng? No matter how many thousands of years old emperors die, their bodies will not rot and decay, and the same will be true of the holy body. Several people were stunned, and an ominous premonition rose in their hearts. Let's quickly find Jumiji, okay, word formula, hurry up and get out of here, don't touch this ancient coffin. The big black dog was furry, and he was not greedy when he saw the baby for the first time. Yi Fan took out the ancient scroll, carefully compared it, and after watching it carefully, he was speechless, and the 9 secrets line of words actually pointed to the location of the ancient coffin. Could it be that the museum is going to be opened? He was horrified. If some ancient corpse of the holy body of great accomplishment was provoked, several people might be wiped out here. Damn, that damn bald puppet, and that old Bangzi, who herded cows also came here, and here is their mark. The big black dog cursed angrily. Next to the ancient coffin, there are 2 more stone tablets, leaving words of condolences. In addition, there are 2 huge starry sky maps. They seem to have deduced something here, densely packed and full of stars. In every starry sky map, there is a thin line, which is invisible, leading to the depths of the starry sky. This makes Yi Fan's heart move. The 2 starry sky maps are very large, not engraved on the stone tablet, but imprinted on the stone ground. This is a careful deduction. The ages when they were engraved are only a few hundred years apart, but they are by no means a period. They can be identified, but the pictures are probably more than 2,000 years ago. Compared with hundreds of thousands of years, 2,000 years is not so scary, but it is also the pre-Qin period, which can be called a very ancient time. The holy masters of the eastern wilderness can only live to this age. If it is a little longer, the dust will return to the dust. Since ancient times, no one can die. What kind of mystery is this old Bangzi developing? Why can't I see it through? The big black dog stared at one of the engraved pictures, pondering for a long time, but couldn't understand it. Only the old madman's eyes were deep, and he was very fascinated. He could clearly see that the 2 engraved pictures were evolving in the depths of his eyes, and were imprinted in his mind. With a move in Yi Fan's heart, he also imprinted the 2 starry sky maps, silently remembering them in his heart. This might be his way home. 2 little dragons are swimming. Xiao Nan Nan pointed at the 2 thin lines in the starry sky map with her little finger. Her vision is very special, and she can see the evolution of the 2 thin lines, winding and stretching. Even if Yi Fan had divine eyes, it took a long time to see it clearly, and then he remembered it in his heart. In the future, if he can't return to the other side of the starry sky from the 5-color altar in the ancient Forbidden Land, he plans to let the Black Emperor inscribe the most complicated Dao pattern and cross it back little by little. Don't worry about the old Bangzi, who herds the cows and the bald scoop full of bald heads. Let's figure out how to get the script. The big black dog grumbled, and he really didn't like the 2 of them. I really hope that one day you will be so good when you meet them, and call those 2 people like that. Yi Fan smiled. He had mixed feelings in his heart, and it was clear that they were 2 great sages in ancient times, who should have disappeared in the years, but they were actually related to cultivation. The old madman circled around the ancient coffin, his brows furrowed, as strong as he did not open the coffin, as if he was afraid. The green hairs are very long and grow out through the gaps in the sarcophagus, covering the entire body of the coffin. As soon as you get close, you will feel a biting chill. The sarcophagus is like an ice cellar, which can almost freeze people. Is it really the corpse of the holy body? Who carved the sarcophagus for him? Yi Fan said to himself. The old madman scratched in the void and evolved the Tianxian footwork. There is no specific method, just a mysterious Dao map, which is inclusive of everything. He was trying to trigger it with the fragments of the line of words, and Yi Fan saw him like this, and the body seed in his hand also began to evolve. His movements were very slow, but very serious. Boom. There was a sudden sound in the ancient coffin, and all the people who were shocked, because a peerless murderous intent overflowed, as if some ancient creature had awakened. The green hair on the sarcophagus vibrated violently, and the chill was piercing to the bone, as if thousands of ghost claws were struggling, extending little by little, spreading to several people. This place is so weird. The fog is getting thicker and thicker, and they have a feeling that all this is caused by an ancient coffin, and the thick fog seems to be rushing out from the cracks of the coffin. Suddenly, the cover of the coffin shook, emitting a ray of light that pierced the sky, and the clouds and mist were dissipated. 9 secrets. The line of words came out of the coffin. A few people were both surprised and happy, and they were in all kinds of dangers. They came only for the Ju Mi Xing Zi Ju, and finally saw it. The first time Yi Fan saw it, he had already confirmed that it was definitely a secret script, and it had many similarities with the footwork he practiced. The highest sacred art in the legend, once mastered, the world is free to do it, and there is no impossible path in the world. It's great, you must understand it. No one was not excited, and they all captured the Dao map with a strong spiritual sense, for fear of missing something. No, it's too vague. It was rushed out through the coffin. The real 9 secrets are in the coffin. After careful observation, they discovered this helpless fact, and their hearts were half shattered. There was definitely something ominous in the ancient coffin, and it was difficult for them to open it. What should we do? We have come here, do we still have to retreat? Can you see clearly? Yi Fan squatted down and asked Xiao Nan Nan. The little girl wrinkled her delicate nose, blinked her eyes, and stared at it carefully for a while before she said crisply, some places are very clear, and some are blocked by something, it's not real. The old madman was motionless, as if petrified, and his empty eyes shot out strands of silver light, which were connected to the Dao map. However, it was obvious that the Dao map was incomplete, and was blocked by the contents of the coffin, and the silver threads that shot out of his eyes could not all be connected. The top of the mountain is very flat, and there are no lines around the sarcophagus by the ancient emperor. Several people walked around, very helpless. Boom. There was another shock in the ancient coffin, and the unparalleled murderous intention overflowed, like the winter season of the 12th lunar month, as if 100,000 miles were frozen, and 1,000,000 miles of snow drifted. The body seed in Yi Fan's hands was hot. He was watching the Dao map seriously, throwing away all distracting thoughts. Anyway, there was an old madman here, and he didn't pay attention to the others. Even if it is a broken line of words, it must be thoroughly comprehended, otherwise it will be a lifelong regret. I don't know how long it took. Yi Fan stopped and woke up from the sky. At this time, the old madman was walking around the ancient coffin, and was about to open the coffin. Big Black Dog and Li Heishui were by their side. They didn't dare to let out the air, they hid far away, for fear that the Demon King would be released. The old lunatic walked around for 9 full laps, as if he was deducing something, and then his eyes shot out wisps of silver light. He finally started to officially open the ancient coffin, and watch the legendary 9 secrets of the 9 secrets. The moment the green hair outside the coffin turned into fly ash, the ancient coffin shook violently, as if something huge was about to come out, and the terrifying aura emitted made the mountain shake. In this area, there are more than 50 mountains standing side by side, all of them are shaking at this moment. Like a big earthquake, the huge stones keep rolling down. Especially this great mountain, if it wasn't for the Emperor's formation, it would have collapsed, and there was an inexplicable aura surging. Nan Nan. Yi Fan called. The little girl appeared on the coffin wall, crying with fright, and looked down helplessly. The little guy was innocent, with tears in his eyes, and said, I'm just giving it a try. This made Li Heishui completely speechless, and he looked up to the sky and sighed, my understanding is not the first of my peers, but I am also the best group of people, even a dog can't compare. how can I even surpass a 2-year-old girl? Come up. Is the 9 secrets really not suitable for my cultivation? Yi Fan and the others hurriedly came to the coffin, picked up the little girl, and prepared to send it down. As a result, they accidentally saw the scene in the coffin, and their scalp tingled for a while. In the sarcophagus, there is half a pool of blood at the bottom, which is bright and dazzling, as if it has just flowed out of the human body. Among them, there is an old man's corpse inside, floating above the blood. His body is immortal, and he holds a golden scepter, which overflows with unparalleled murderous intent, which can pierce the soul of a person. My God, is this the holy body of Dacheng? It's been dead for hundreds of thousands of years, and it hasn't rotted yet. It's lifelike. Li Heishui was shocked. Why is this person so murderous, as if he has slaughtered thousands of souls? Yi Fan said in shock. This, it should be the Lord of Heaven, the sage of ancient times. The big black dog almost fell in shock. Didn't the 2 old sages in heavenly court be killed? Why did one get here? Yi Fan was suspicious. He had heard the big black dog talk about the past in detail. There are rumors in the world that his lifespan dried up and was cut off in the final battle. I never thought that he personally fled into the holy cliff with the 9 secrets and died here. The big black dog was surprised. The murderous aura overflowing from the golden ancient staff made the entire holy cliff almost frozen. Like Senluo Hell, there is no doubt that it is the supreme staff of heaven. Back then, heavenly court held the supreme scepter, and could almost command the world. The big black dog sighed. It's time to see the sun again, let it shine again, Yi Fan said loudly. Hundreds of thousands of years have passed, and his body has not decayed. He is worthy of being a sage of the ancients, but why did he die in the ancient coffin? Li Heishui was surprised. His neck was twisted. The big black dog said in surprise, it was still making a bad idea. The corpse of the saint was full of treasures, and he wanted to pull it out and refine it. However, at this time, it was shivering all over. The neck of this ancient saint was twisted and broken, and he had clear fingerprints and some green hair. I'm afraid. Xiao Nan buried her head in Yi Fan's arms, not daring to look down, and whispered, there is a person lying in the blood pool, and his body is covered with green hair. Dacheng's Holy Communion. Several people were shocked. The Holy Communion of Dacheng has been dead for endless years, but twisted the neck of an old sage, which made them feel nervous. Silently, the old madman also stood on the sarcophagus, his eyes pierced through everything, staring at the blurry figure in the blood pool. Crash! Below the ancient saint, the lord of the heavenly court, the blood fluctuated violently, and with a beep, came out the big claws that had always been green, covered with corpse hair. Scary claws as big as dustpans stick out, covered with corpse hairs and dripping with blood, making people daunting, from head to toe. The silver light in the eyes of the old lunatic was full of brilliance. Strands shot out like strands of silver dragons, slashing at the big green hand. 9. Zheng. This is a saint's method. The endless mountain range will be destroyed into flying ashes, but the silver eyes can't destroy it after slashing on the big claw. The dazzling sparks splashed around, making a sonorous sound like being slashed on a divine iron, and the big hands slowly reached up like ghost claws, unstoppable. Isn't he dead? Can he become a corpse saint? Li Heishui and the others quickly retreated, avoiding the old lunatic. In the black sarcophagus hundreds of feet long, there are 10 pools of blood, bright red and coquettish, and big claws covered with green corpse hair suddenly stick out, looking strange and scary. The body of the ancient saint was not rotten and floated on top, but his head was twisted off. At this time, it was even more frightening when it was set against the big claws. Even the invincible world's Lord of Heaven was strangled to death. How could he not let people collapse? Everyone was like falling into an ice cellar, and their breathing almost stopped. The chi emanating from the ancient coffin was extremely oppressive, not only with monstrous killing intent, but also with endless pressure that would make one's mind burst, as heavy as a mountain. The old lunatic let out a light bay, and he swiped his hands. This was the first time he made such an incomparably serious shot, showing the supreme means of a saint. A little dragon as long as a foot swims between his palms and fingers, which are innate patterns, and he is evolving the supreme avenue. Chaos folk silk flowing, Dao Tu is mysterious and unpredictable. He stroked his hands, making the sound of wind and thunder, and then the earth, fire and feng shui spewed, as if he was opening up the world. Boom! A Dao map appeared, full of the breath of the beginning, as if the Dao in the beginning of the heavens and the earth had just formed. At this moment, the entire sacred cliff, 50 or so black mountains all trembled, terrifying. The old madman gave a light drink, raised his hand and printed it down, and he held the huge original Dao map on the tip of his finger, and smashed it into the ancient coffin. Half a pond of blood splashed, and the big hands covered with corpse hair were covered with innate patterns. Thousands of little dragons were swimming, and the Dao map continued to evolve, circulating the chi of the supreme Dao. Boom! The unparalleled immortal power rushed to every corner of the holy cliff, and the pattern left by the ancient emperor did not block it, and it shot out a ray of brilliance to jointly seal the ancient coffin. Sulong. 50 black mountains standing side by side, all cut out from the undead mountain, are all shaking at this time, and they are about to collapse, puff. At this moment, the formation pattern engraved by the great Emperor Wuxia manifested the supreme mystery, and there were threads in all directions, spreading in the void and intertwining. Although there are no Dao patterns on the top of the mountain, it is a place of connection, leading thousands of threads to the ancient coffin and binding it. The restlessness finally calmed down, the sarcophagus no longer vibrated, and everything gradually calmed down. You step back, the old lunatic drank lightly, the matter has come to this point, and the coffin must be opened to obtain the 9 secrets. Several people kept going backwards, and the old madman roared like a dragon and a tiger, and the sound spread for hundreds of miles. Boom! The peerless gloomy suffocation rushed out, and the black fog rolled up to the sky, completely submerging this place. Sure enough, all the thick fog was overflowing from the ancient coffin. Li Heishui and He Huang were completely motionless. Under this kind of murderous intent, they couldn't even speak. They were completely bound, and their bodies were about to crack. Tens of thousands of thin lines were intertwined, and the pattern engraved by the great Emperor Wu Bei played a role, and a blazing light curtain appeared, covering the ancient coffin. At the same time, the conferred god list on the mountainside rushed out of a golden glow and landed, immobilizing the restless ancient coffin. At this point, the unparalleled murderous intention converged like a tide, otherwise Yi Fan and the others would have been unable to bear it. Murderous intent alone is enough to destroy both the body and the soul. I've already lost half of my life in such a short period of time. Li Heishui was exhausted, his body cracked, and he took the shenquan handed over by Yi Fan and drank it wildly. The black hair on the big black dog is about to fall out, and just now he scolded people for being bald, but now it is almost bald, cursing again and again, saying, even this is retribution, ***. Yi Fan is not serious, mainly because his body is tyrannical and unparalleled. The little girl, who was guarded by them in the middle, was also safe. The little guy looked left and right like a curious baby. Not far away, the road is overwhelming. A Dao map is horizontal in the void, very clear, such as the coming of the 9 heavens, which makes people feel awe from the heart and want to kneel on the ground. 9 secrets. The opportunity is in front of you. Whether you can comprehend it or not depends on your own chance. They rushed forward quickly, sat cross-legged on the ground, watched the Dao map in the air, and realized it seriously. As for what was in the opened ancient coffin, they didn't care at all. There was nothing more important than comprehending the 9 secrets, and everything was covered by the old lunatic. I can't understand it. After Li Heishui consumed a piece of enlightenment tea, he opened his eyes and flew away, very depressed. The big black dog was even more anxious, cursing, and saying, damn it, this is a supreme secret technique created for 2-legged creatures. This emperor can't understand it unless he transforms into a human being. This emperor will defy the sky, it has to be repaired. The big black dog really defied the sky, stood upright, stood on the ground like a human, and shouted, if there is no sacred art that this emperor can't learn, I will not believe in evil. This can be done. Li Heishui was stunned, and then his confidence increased. Even a dog can cross the racial line to practice Chinese characters. What's so scary about him? He grabbed a few pieces of enlightenment tea, and immediately began to enlighten. The old madman didn't move, as if he was petrified. Looking up at the 9 secrets Dao map, he quickly turned into an ancient map, very mysterious. Yi Fan's heart was shocked, the Ju Emai's line of words was unfathomable, and Qianshuan's footwork was only a corner of it, only a small part. It's no wonder that it can enter the realm of time through enlightenment. It is indeed mysterious and unpredictable. I am afraid that it will take a lifetime to cultivate. Time passed little by little, and several people were motionless, silently comprehending, and threw themselves into it. There is no doubt that the old lunatic gained the most. After a long time, he withdrew his gaze, closed his eyes, stopped watching Daotu, and began to evolve himself in his heart. The big black dog was the least quiet, standing upright, clamoring to go against the sky, while comprehending the 9 secrets. He ran around like a human. However, its perception is really high, the speed is getting faster, and finally it almost turned into a black shadow. It was very arrogant, with black hair all over its body, and while standing upright, it ran naked and shouted, ***, this emperor will run on 2 legs in the future in order to learn the secret of writing. Li Heishui was so irritated by it that he concentrated his mind and realized that he was able to cultivate even a dog. How could he be a 2-legged human being? It's not that he lacks comprehension, it's just that this method is not suitable for his practice, but he is also stimulated to gain a lot, and the deep-locked brows gradually relax. Xiao Nan Nan was also watching curiously, and finally couldn't help, but gestured, stepped forward with her little feet, and disappeared from the spot with a swoosh, which made several people wake up. Finally, the big hand covered with corpse hair was suppressed by the Taoist mother, and fell heavily into the half-pool of blood water, splashing a large amount of blood, which actually caused the void to annihilate. Several people have changed color. If they hit someone, they will definitely die. Hundreds of thousands of years have passed, and the blood in the coffin is still so terrifying. A drop of blood is enough to kill a strong man. The pattern intertwined with the congenital pattern, covered down, sealed the blood pool, and the Lord of the Heavenly Court was suppressed under the chalk. It's a pity, the Supreme Killer Scepter was also sealed in the blood pool. Li Heishui felt regretful. The methods of the saints in this world are against the sky's yarn nir, The big black dog was amazed, it had already prepared the worst plan, and did not expect the old lunatic to seal the ghost paw. They are far away from the ancient coffin. Again, he began to figure out the 9 secret road map printed in the air and pondered carefully. Yi Fan held the body seed in his hand and observed it carefully. He found that there are 9 layers of Taoism. He was surprised. No wonder there was a legend that an ancient sage took the elixir of immortality, and lived for 2 lifetimes, before he cultivated the secret of writing to the extreme state, and set foot in the realm of time. It has the wonders of the world, and it takes several lifetimes to understand it. It is not just a handful, but that simple. However, if the light is just a matter of speed, it doesn't take that long. The practice of those ancient saints has risen to the level of the gods. Yi Fan's heart was empty. He knew that he would not be able to fully understand it in a short time. With the help of Badizi, he engraved the 9-fold line of words in his heart. Apart from him, Big Black Dog and Li Heishui were difficult to do, and the Daotu was so fragile that it was difficult to grasp them all. Of course, the old madman has already been branded, and he has already seen all this, so he doesn't need to watch it anymore, he has already started to deduce it in his heart. The big black dog yelled, "This emperor is a genius, I copied 4 pictures in such a short period of time, I want to go against the sky's yarn ni. It stood upright, shouting to go against the sky's yarn ni, running on 2 legs, running at high speed on the holy cliff. Yi Fan was quite speechless when he saw it. This dead dog is so outrageous. Li Heiban was indignant. He tried his best to copy and engrave the 2 pictures. Whether he can understand it or not is another matter. As a result, he saw a big dog running around on 2 legs, learning in a good way, which really made him resentful. The lead cloud is thick and about to fall down, and there is a mysterious air permeating it, making the entire Black Mountain range a little weird. The old madman looked up at the sky, flicked his robe sleeves, and the 100 Jonglong sarcophagus lid flew up, pressed down on the ancient coffin, and closed again. Afterwards, they sat cross-legged on the holy cliff, all closed their eyes and said nothing, all realizing their own way, and even the most restless big black dog became calm. Crack! I don't know how long it took, the ancient coffin suddenly made a loud noise, the coffin lid was deviated from its position, and a big green claw came out. Several people opened their eyes, and they were all terrified, as if they were being stared at by the supreme demon god. Every inch of flesh and blood was convulsingly, not listening to their own orders. It came out. Xiao Nan Nan was about to cry and hid behind Yi Fan. Boom! The lid of the coffin fell heavily to the ground, and a majestic and tall figure stepped out of the ancient coffin, his eyes as sharp as knives. What? Several people were stunned, they didn't expect the incident to happen so suddenly. The body of the holy body of Dachin crawled out. PK, she is majestic and straight. She is taller than ordinary people with 2 orchid heads, like an immortal god and demon, looking down at the common people. The earth rises and falls. Years are indelible and will last forever. Those eyes were extremely intimidating, and they couldn't be looked at. The thick bloody hair was sticking together, immortal power was flowing, and the body was covered with corpse hair. This is the uterus of great completion, dead and not stiff. Has it been taken over by evil spirits? Li Hei and the others couldn't move, and they couldn't even escape. The overwhelming pressure and terrifying aura made them almost faint. The old madman stood up. He was also tall and majestic. His eyes were like silver dragons, staring at the terrifying demon body in front of him. He confronted him. Bang, bang, this tall ancient corpse walked forward step by step, with terrifying eyes, like two magic lamps, shooting out a peerless edge. The old madman's black-haired fluttering momentum rose sharply, and he strode forward, without fear at all, to fight against this ancient holy corpse. The big thing is bad. He was taken over by ancient creatures, and his physical body is unparalleled in the world. This mother can sweep the world covering the sky. The big black dog had a bad association. Suddenly, the majestic demon body stopped, and did not continue to push forward. He stared at Yifan's eyes for a moment, and two divine lights were almost connected to Yifan's body. Boom. The golden blood in Yifan's body suddenly boiled, and he found that he could move. Huozi Pingzi stood up, full of energy. His body was like colorful glass, clear and flawless, golden blood rushing out, dazzling and dazzling. Holy blood was like a surging river, flowing quickly, and there was a rumbling thunder in the body. There is a feeling between the uterus. The green lotus plant in Yifan's we'll see, emitting 1,000 feet of green light, surrounded by chaotic mist, rushed out at once, and flew towards the holy body of Dacheng. Rush! The green flower disappeared in a flash, and the three-leaf green lotus disappeared in the sea of the Great Completion Sacrament, and disappeared without a trace. Xiao Nan Nan exclaimed, pulling on the corner of his clothes, nervous. Li Hei was also stunned, speechless. Yifan had such an experience once, and he was not afraid. He calmed down and sensed carefully. Maybe this will be a great opportunity. His spiritual sense seems to be divided into two parts. One part is in his body, and the other half enters the sea of wheels of the Sacrament of Sacrament. At this moment, Yifan was deeply shocked. His mind was immersed in the lotus, and he entered the Luanhai of the sacramental body. He saw what a sea is. Even if it is about to dry up, the golden sea of bitterness is still vast and endless, with monstrous divine power surging, and the golden divine light almost shatters the world. Relatively speaking, his golden sea of bitterness is just a small lake. It can even be called a small puddle, and it is too far from the holy sacrament. Is this the embodiment of the invincible world covering the sky of the holy body of Dacheng? Yifan was really stunned. How long does it take to cultivate, in order to accumulate such vast divine power? Even if it is about to dry up, it is still unmatched in the world. No wonder you can compete with the ancient emperor, Last time, Yifan got the auxiliary secret method in the Holy Communion without great success, and now he naturally has more expectations, and earnestly deduces and searches. Boom. The sea of the Great Completion Sacrament finally recovered, and the endless golden ocean was about to shatter this piece of heaven and earth. Outside, Li Hei and the others were horrified. The Great Completion holy body erupted with golden light, causing the endless mountains to crack. Any area without the protection of the Great Emperor's array pattern has silently turned into a powder, and this sacred cliff has been preserved unharmed under the protection of the Fengshen Bang. The old madman showed an extremely solemn expression, and emitted a divine light, protecting the little girls and the others, and propping up an unbreakable light curtain. The holy body of the Great Completion is too terrifying. The body that has been dead for so many years can still overflow with such terrifying fluctuations. They know that this is only the tip of the iceberg, and it is impossible to really show the supreme saint of the holy body of Great Completion Willy. In the ocean-like golden sea of bitterness, Yifan discovered the trajectory of the flow of divine power, and he saw a similar secret technique. That is a supreme Tao map, turned into a vast ancient scroll, flowing mysterious chi machine, and endless chaos is surging. He was suddenly attracted. This turned out to be a holy method of cultivating a secret realm, and it was very similar to the method he had obtained before. There are a lot of changes, beads, more profound, Yifan was shocked. This is simply a secret method tailored for the holy body. If it is combined with an ancient scripture, it can be continuously deduced to cultivate a single secret realm to the extreme. This is the perfect ancient method. What I got last time was not a perfect single secret technique. Yifan suddenly felt excited and joyful at the same time. This is not an orthodox mental method, but an auxiliary secret technique, which can help him cultivate a single secret realm to the most profound realm and evolve into the ultimate realm of the will see. Yi Fan completely sank in, gradually groping. He copied the perfect Dao map, and finally promoted to the Dao Palace to continue his exploration. Same, he was amazed. This kind of secret technique is suitable for every secret realm and can be assisted. Assist to develop. That's great. Yi Fan knew that this was a priceless treasure, and it was the world's secret method for him to enter the supreme realm in the future. He felt that this should be the unique auxiliary secret of the Eucharist, which was of great significance to him and was of inestimable value. The more Yi Fan explored, the more shocked he was. The holy body of great accomplishment actually cultivated every secret realm to the extreme, which was shocking. The ancients specialized in a secret realm, and when they reached the ultimate state, it was already a world-shattering achievement. No wonder, the combat power is unparalleled in the world, and it can meet the ancient emperor. After reaching the peak, it is necessary to re-specialize every 6 secret realms. Part 1 end here.